the second speaker, which is Elena Corrales. She's agronomic engineering by this university, the UPM, and she did a master in management of sustainability of the enterprises in EUDE. She is currently an analyst of sustainability in BCG, and previously she was responsible of the environment and sustainability department in the National Association of Plastics. I introduce to you Elena Corrales.
Thank you. So first thing, thank you for inviting me to this seminar, and congratulations to all of you for the organization. I think it's going to be a success, and hopefully we will learn something during these days. So this is the structure of the presentation I'm going to give you. First thing is why are we worried about sustainability? What do we understand for sustainability? The next step is what are doing the companies, or what does the companies perceive the sustainability issues? And then we will have a look, focuses on the material companies, about sustainable business, how are emerging and growing and generating benefit for the companies. Then it's not only about sustainable product, but to have all the sustainability practice inside their own company, which help to reduce the input needed and so to make sustainability or the materials and product of the companies more sustainable. And then we have a small talk about what are others benefit of the sustainability in companies, benefit that we cannot measure, that can be brand perception improvement, or can be loyalty to the brands, or other benefit that we cannot measure, but still being a benefit from implementing a successful sustainability strategy within a company. So first thing, why are we worried about sustainability? There are some mega trends driving these increasingly important sustainability issues. First thing is the growth of the population. We'll see the numbers, but population is increasing a lot, and it's not increasing in all the areas same. Emerging markets are growing a lot, and the old world like Europe or America is growing too. And then it's not only about the increased population, but also the economic development of these countries. The population is increasing, but the population is needing each time more resources. So this is becoming an increasing demand of resources, what makes the price of the energy of other products increasing, what is resulting in an increase of greenhouse emission, waste and water needs, and so on. So we really need to improve how we use our resources to make it more efficient and to be able to profit from our current business model. So here are some numbers. Those are the megatrends I'm talking about: the world population, the rise of the emerging market, and the huge economic growth, mostly or preferably in Asia. So there is an increasing demand. We will talk about this later. What have an impact in the resources we have, and the prices, and what we have said before: accumulation of waste, increase of greenhouse emission, depletion of natural resources, and so on. Now, we are almost 7 billion in the world, and this is predicted to increase a lot. We can see here that the growth is driven by Africa and all the Asia countries, while in Europe or America will stay more or less the same. But it's not only that we are going to be more people, but we are going to be more people with more needs. Now in China and India, there is an increasing middle class that will need much more resources than they need now. It's amazing that it's 170 new entrants, new person achieving this middle class, what means that they need mobiles and TVs and so on. It's not just about food or about health. It's just about all the necessities we have in the current developed countries. Here we see how the lifetime consumption and what we spend during a lifetime has multiplied by 39 in China in the last 50 years, and by 13 in India, and so on in other countries. So what a person born in the 60s in China used to spend during all his or her life $16,000, that will be $640, so it's almost 40 times more. So the consumption of this new middle class will multiply or will increase at 200%. And we have to satisfy the need of all this new middle class and also all this new population, wealthier and richer population. Again, we'll see here, we are going to pass the capacity of the generation capacity of our planet if we are still with this rhythm of consumption with this new middle class entrance. So business as usual, I mean, continue working as we usually do and using resources that we have been doing during the last years is not an option anymore. Here are some examples. One of them is we have here about water. Sometimes we talk about water scarcity. It's not that we don't have water. It is that we don't have water where we need it and for the purposes we need it. In agriculture is one of the sectors that needs more water and is increasing since we have to feed more people. So there is going to be a water shortage in some places. So it's not something that we have no water, but we don't have a sustainable use of it. Again, with the energy resources happens something similar. The consumption of energy is increasing a lot. In this graphic, we can see how the oil demand or the gas demand will grow until 2030. And this growth, we are still having oil, and we have said before, every 40 years we have said that we have oil for other 40 years. But the thing is that where is the oil and who has the oil and how much is going to cost for us to have that oil and to be able to use it. So it's not only about resource scarcity, but also about geographical situation, about economy, about prices increasing, and about we have to make an appropriate use of those resources to still being profitable. Here is an example of how the predicted growth of greenhouse gases emissions. This is in the, sorry, because of the format mistake, but this will be in the business as usual scenario. We see that the main generators of CO2 emissions is the power and transport industries. So we have to do something. We cannot keep going and keep the business as usual forever. Waste is another big problem. In China, for example, there is a 30% increase in waste accumulation in the last 10 years, and this is going to keep growing. So we have a problem of landfill, problem of pollution, and we cannot accumulate waste forever. Also, those are, we have just gone through very fast to the natural megatrends or to the economic megatrends that summarize population is increasing, people is getting richer, and the resources of our planet is still the same. We're going to have problems with energy, water, waste, etc. And we are already aware of this. All the stakeholders of the public group of the different companies are starting to ask the companies how to tackle this and how to face these issues. Business is, or the companies are not alone in society, but have relation with a lot of stakeholders, like we can see here in the small legislator, employees, investors, NGOs, communities. And these stakeholders are demanding, first thing, more information, second, more commitment. So there is a concern about the environmental issues. We can see here how the people or the consumers are getting more and more worried and concerned about environmental issues. This is from a global survey that said that a lot of, almost 80% of the population is concerned about air pollution, 74% about water pollution, so consumers or citizens, we are worried about environmental issues. And also this, we have seen also that this worry is reflected in how consumers are willing to consume and to pay even a little bit premium for sustainable product. So it's not just a thing about we are worried, but we are worried and we want to do something. For employees, and this maybe here in Spain is not a big deal now, but there are really some companies, like mining companies or oil companies that have talent and recruiting and to keep the employees happy and satisfied and productive for the companies, that we really care to work for a company or for a business that is not destroying our society. And this is a worry for the companies too. Legislator, of course, through regulation, through agreements, through convenience, we are all worried. There is, in the right side of the slide, we can see how a lot of countries are setting CO2 emission reduction targets. Some of them through regulation, like mandatory commitments. Some of them are agreements or like declaration of how we would like things to be, even if Durban or the last conference about climate change wasn't as successful as expected or as we would like it to be. There is a consent of regulators all around the world, is from USA, from Europe, but also other developing countries like China or India are getting worried about these issues. And we are worried, and now is not time to be hidden. The companies are exposed, and as we expect from the companies this information to be transmitted. It's not like maybe 100 years ago a company could be working in, I don't know, Africa, and we will not know here what they are doing. Now, with the new technologies, we are able to know when a company is polluting. We are able to know if they are deforesting the woods or the forests or whatever. So this is also putting pressure on the companies to be more sustainability because we care and we are going to find out what they are doing. And then once we have found out, we are going to talk about it and we are going to tell to other ones. The graphic of the left shows the connections about Facebook. We care, we know, and we talk about it. And every time more in a connected world where the information availability is pretty easy and we have more or less all of us a knowledge about what is going on, this is increasingly important. Like 50 years ago, or I don't know, you can only see through newspaper what's going on, or only the politicians or the journalists had the right to communicate. Now it's not about that. Journalists, bloggers, NGOs, even us in forums, in blogs, in these kind of things, we can communicate what is going on. And this put more pressure on the companies. It's not only about natural resources scarcity, it's not all about legislators, it's also that we really care about what is going on. There is an example here of a campaign done by Greenpeace last year. The target was KitKat because they were using palm oil, sourcing sustainable palm oil for the chocolates. This market was very aggressive. Maybe here in Europe we see it a little bit less, but in United States it's very powerful, was very powerful. The market value of this company decreased 50% during the summer that this campaign was going on. It doesn't mean that they lost a lot of, but if you are moving to another market, that can be very, very harmful. So business know this, and they are making more efforts every time to first thing be more sustainable, and then to transmit it and to show us how sustainable they are doing. They are reporting to third parties like this Global Reporting Initiative. They are getting certified with environmental standards like the ISO 14000. They are disclosing their carbon emissions or water emissions to different international organizations and showing that they are committed. And it's not just about showing it, but we can see and we can measure that the sustainable business are increasing. Here is a world map with the billions of we have called it low carbon and environmental goods and services that comply from renewable energy through new technologies in environmental technologies, consultancy, noise control, pollution control, and these businesses are growing. Actually, are growing in a speed faster than the economy, the overall economy. As I said before, there are a lot of technologies included in this classification. All the renewable technologies are with the biggest now, but there are other technologies arising like energy management, energy efficiency, all the environmental consultancy, carbon capture and storage, other new technologies that are arising. So, to finalize this, when we talk about sustainability, we have to have in mind the megatrends going on. Climate change, emissions are increasing, and the problem is that we don't know what will happen when those emissions will get higher models. Then there's a scarcity of energy that will lead to a high increase on the prices. There is water scarcity. There is a limited raw material assets. I've said it just by past, but we have to feed all these new populations. So there is a challenge about food security that is feeding all the world population. And then there is a problem of waste. Those are the natural megatrends driving these sustainability issues. I would like you to have this in mind and to have in mind also the other trends I have talked about, like we care, we know, and we can communicate and talk about sustainability environment. So companies are for sure aware of all this. And now we are going to see, we are going to have a look to a survey done by my company in collaboration with the MIT, what is the Massachusetts Institute, that is from the Harvard University. It's a survey done to almost 3,000 companies. The survey was done to it is done yearly to the CEOs and chief offices and head managers of the 3,000 biggest companies in the world. And they are really seeing that sustainability is needed to be competitive. It's not just about talking about it, but it's a way of finding new business and more revenues in a world that is every time more and more constrained. We see here 90% saying that sustainability strategies is required now or it will be in the near future. Then we see that sustainability is in the top management agenda. They don't forget, even in this economic crisis scenario that we are living now, they are not forgetting about sustainability. And it's not in the low part of the company, but on the top management at a CEO level. We see here some sentences from the CEOs of important companies. We see companies, consumer goods companies, retailers, luxury brands. The last one, Caterpillar, is machinery. So it's a common word of all kinds of companies that are really having this sustainability as a top priority. As I said, even in this economical crisis, companies are increasing their commitment and their commitment to sustainability. they don't think that business as usual is anymore an option. So when you ask to a company, why do you think sustainability is important, or what do you consider as part of sustainability, it's surprising to see that the majority of the respondents said that sustainability is needed for the economic sustainability of the organization. It's not about being green, but it's about being profitable and to find new ways of getting new products or new business or making the same things but cheaper. If you save money or save energy or save water, you save energy. So it's not also about putting a label or something, but it's about really economic factor going on. Of course, after that, companies care about environmental issues, companies care about corporate social responsibility, employees' health, communities, health, safety, etc. But it's really important to see that companies know that sustainability means money, and be sustainable will save and will secure their position in the future. Apart from this, another thing about this economic sustainability is like the brand is perceived better, so the loyalty of the consumer has increased. We will see this in the last part of the presentation. So this means money. Among the benefits that sustainability is generating for companies, improved brand reputation is the main one, but we have other benefits like foster innovation. It's a way of innovate and generate more products, to increase competitiveness, to have less cost due to efficiencies in the companies. So companies know that we can see here like 3% of the companies said there are no benefits, but it's not a big deal compared to all the benefits that most of the companies see in sustainability strategies. So here we have this graphic to show how the companies can profit from sustainability. We have on the top corner of the triangle new business opportunities arising for the sustainability trends. Now, maybe we don't see it as an innovation, but wind power was an innovation like some years ago, and the companies that really thought that there is going to be a new business there were the ones that are having a lot of profits now. Also, not new businesses, but also new products, not different from the products you have now, but done in another way. Then on the right side we have, we have efficiency opportunities within the company. If you are more efficient and you save energy, you save water, you generate less waste, you will have less production cost. So you can generate more revenues, but you can save money also from implementing sustainability strategies or having sustainability really deep into your company. And then there are other benefits that are much more difficult to measure. Like we have said before, brand loyalty or brand reputation is difficult to put a number of how many people will still buy in your product because you are more sustainable, but it's something to have in mind too. So now we have seen like why sustainability is important. We have seen for us and for the world, we have seen how companies see and have sustainability commitments on their top priorities. And we are going to have a look to some examples from the material industry about how all sustainable business and products are emerging and growing. As I have said before, first thing is new business revenue enhancement to increase the revenues of the company because of successful sustainability management. We can have new products or services that are sustainable, and we can go into a completely different business that it was our core business, but that will open us a full new market of opportunities. What is a sustainable product? There is a lot of confusion in the market, and if you ask, there are a lot of surveys asking consumers, what do you consider a sustainable product? And the answers are completely different. So you think that it is grown locally, for example, for vegetables, it means it's sustainable. If it has a eco-label, if it is made of organic products. So sustainable product must be considered as a whole. It's not just because you are organic, you are going to be more sustainable. It has some technical benefits, like how the product is made. It has some functional credit, maybe because it lasts a little bit more. It's like these low consumption bulbs. That is, maybe in the production they are not more sustainable, but if they last 10 years more, they are going to be sustainable during their lifetime. So it's not just about how or what are the products made of, but the performance of the products. And then it has some emotional link as well. It's like some companies have built all their market or all their business model around this emotional feeling, like, for example, the Body Shop, or some of the Starbucks, or some of these companies that are inside the core business of their business. There is a strong feeling of sustainable, on being or having a respect for the environment, for the people working for them, and they have made all their business around these emotional feelings. Now we are going to have a look to different samples to see that sustainability is not closed in, it's not only about recycling, that is also, or it's not about looking for new materials, it's about having a completely new perspective of how to do things. Eurovia, that is a company that manages roadways and highways, have two examples here. Like, one of them is a pavement made with recycled products that save up to 50% in greenhouse gas emissions. The same company is not just focusing on developing one new sustainable product, but developing a whole range of products making in another way. There is another product that actually the production system is protected by a patent, is Bateron, and it's called asphaltic concrete or whatever that is going to be used in highways and roadways, and is protected by them, and it will be, say, its business. Also cement companies, we haven't talked about it, but the cement and steel industries are one of the more energy demanding industries. The regulation about greenhouse gas emissions and CO2 emission and also energy are impacting them a lot, so they are looking for another ways of getting into the market. Holcim, that is one of the biggest cement companies, has developed a full range of products that are made in a friendly way or in an environmental friendly way. This is the EnviroCore family. They are marketing them as a new product or new business model from them. They are participating in a high-profile project, as this one, that project with in building construction with a certified of ecological building or green buildings, and they are not one single product, but a lot of products made in a efficient way, using less resources, possible to recycling, and they are marketing it together. Cemex, that is one of the most important Spanish companies in this sector, has launched a sustainable label. It's called Ecoperando. They give this label to all the products that are producing less emission with the carbonate. Cemex is mainly getting this reduction in CO2 emissions by using, instead of fuel or oil or fuel, mix including urban waste recycling in their production plants. And they are putting this label into all the products that are using this kind of mixed fuel with waste recovery and promoting them as green. Insulation companies are developing other products with new characteristics or more sustainable characteristics. As I said, it's not only about recycling, but for example, now, that is one of the also chemicals, you should know them for all the materials, not for construction. They know that the formaldehyde, I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but formaldehyde, is going to be forbidden because it's a toxic substance, and they are not waiting until it is already forbidden and they are out of business. They are already researching and investigating and getting new materials without using this compound. This is an example of how to be prepared of these environmental and regulatory challenges. It's not about waiting and then asking, but innovation, including sustainability inside all your operation, and be prepared for what is going to happen in the future. The second example is made by Ursa. There is some mineral wool used as insulation material in buildings. In this case, they have make a product with 50% made of recycling materials and also free of this chemical compound that is going to be forbidden. As an example, I was working in the plastic association, and there is a volatile organic compound that is going to be forbidden in like 10 years. Companies are getting nervous now, and they should have getting nervous and started to be concerned maybe 5 years ago. When they start, you can think like, no, this is not going to happen. They are not going to forbid it. They are not going to let us without our business. But of course, legislators care about the environment or about the citizens, and they are not thinking in just business. So if you want to be prepared and don't have this kind of surprises, it's better to start from the beginning, taking into consideration these environmental circumstances. Also, the companies, it's not just that they are developing new products or green products, but also that they are participating in projects, they are involved with regulators, they are involved with NGOs or other kind of organizations that promote. In this case, it's an example from Rockwool that is involved in a green building project. And they are working together with administration, with promoters, and looking for a better way to construct and to build a new building. Now, chemical industry. I think that the chemical industry is really aware of these environmental problems. There are some examples of Bayer. These products are only in developed states. They are not commercialized yet. One of them will be in a couple of years, and the other one maybe later. But they are already looking for better ways to give the same products. Like in the polyurethane foam, they are trying to achieve a product that is going to give twice the current thermal insulation that is given by their normal foam. What means that you are going to need half of the product that we need now. That means less resources. That will mean in the future less waste. So they are also implementing these innovation products from the sustainability perspective and have very deep in their companies that they have to move toward this direction. Mining companies that are really, I said that cement and steel are very energy demanding. Mining companies are very aggressive with the environment and are not well seen in the communities, or they are very aggressive. In this case, I have put this example because this mining company, Tech, is looking for now it's piloting, but is looking for a way of recycling all the electronic consumer that contains metal. At the beginning, I'm sure that Tech thought that if we're recycling metals, they would not have business, because if they don't need to mine new metals because we are recycling, but they have think about this as an opportunity instead of as a danger, and they are looking for how they can be part of this new recycling metals business and how can they convert this into revenues from them. So from a danger that will be recycling instead of virgin metals, they are looking for or making up a new business model. There is another example for mining companies. As we said, all companies are concerned. There is an example of a collaboration between Walmart, that is a retailer very big in the United States, and Newmont, that is an important mining company too. They have partnership to give this environmental, they call it Love Earth, or responsible jewelry. So Newmont is taking environmental and also social issues in their production system, and Walmart is collaborating with them and promoting this as a special product with special characteristics and generating revenues from things that are good done. Another example for Anglo American, another mining company, how they, these companies have a great amount of waste, like they extract all the earth and then they just get some part, like the metals and whatever they need, and they have a lot of, they produce a lot of waste. And they are starting to investigate how can they transform this waste from a problem into a revenue. They are starting to investigate how to make building products like bricks and these kind of things from the waste they get into with their operations. And yeah, we said here there's lag. That is one of the main waste problems of a mining company. Is suitable and is acceptable for some building products. So what you have as a problem, what is you have to manage the waste and you have to get rid of this waste, is going to be a new revenue for them, like from waste they have now building material. That is going to be a revenue for the company. As we said, we have gone through chemical companies, with cement companies, these mining companies, and there are samples from all over the industry. Motorola has been working in partnership with some chemicals companies in developing a new plastic that is recycling and take less than 20% of the plastic they used to use for the mobile phones. Here it is mentioned an important thing, that is the life cycle approach. Alfonso mentioned before in his presentation. We have to analyze the full life cycle of our product to see where we are having the biggest impact and how we can reduce it. There are some examples also from the plastic industry. If you know the 3 R's from the waste problem, is like reduce, reuse, and recycling. If you take this strictly and you don't have a look to the whole environmental, to the whole life of the product, you can miss some things. Like, for instance, there are some plastic that are, you demand more energy to recycling them than to make them. That not make a lot of sense to use more energy in destroying a product or recycling a product that in making. So maybe recycling is not the best option. So we cannot always think in the easiest way that yes, we are going to recycling, but to have a look to all the life of the product and to see really where we have the impact and what is worth it to do. In this case, Motorola saw that most of the carbon footprint of their mobiles came from plastic, so that's where they started to making their efforts. Biomaterials in the plastic industry, again, we have heard a lot about this during the last years, about potato bags and this thing from Carrefour and also other. And there is a new revolution in plastic, getting bioplastic from different sources, and that can be biodegradable, to have less plastic waste. BASF, or BAS, one of the main chemical companies knew this, or knew about this a lot of years ago. We have started to think about this now, but they have been developing bioplastic and innovating and researching with bioplastic like 20 years ago. that's why now they have this bioplastic developed, because they thought about it 10 years ago when we didn't even think about it. So this is the value of being sustainable, of to thinking in a sustainable way for a company, the revenues from these bioplastic products that BASF is expected to have in the 5 years, 20% just for this kind of plastic. They have been developing them and researching for a lot of years, but they are going to have a lot of revenues from these products. Also, why companies are doing this, why BASF started to develop bioplastic 10 years ago, why all the companies are thinking or making products more sustainable, because their clients, in this case we have 2 examples from consumer goods companies, their clients, the company's clients, are asking for this kind of products. So Danone is looking for more sustainable packaging for their yogurts, in this case. Coca-Cola is asking their plastic providers to be more sustainable, and they have to give an answer to these clients. So maybe we as consumers are asking Coca-Cola to have more environmental products, and Coca-Cola is asking the materials industry to provide them with new solutions that can provide these benefits. I think this is not, the example from Coca-Cola is not implementing worldwide, but they have started to develop this plant bottle, how they call it, made from bioplastic, this Activia yogurt, the same. So that's why companies are worrying about sustainability, because their clients are asking to do so. Then we have this example from IKEA. We all agree that they have a really successful business model, and they are innovating and looking for new materials that are cheaper, that are more sustainable, and that are having a lot of revenues from them. It's funny to see those examples, how they are making baskets from banana trees that they were wasted after harvest, and now they are using them to make this basket, and we like it because we think they are very ecological and organic and everything. How they are recycling plastic, how they are using recycled paper. So they are looking for new materials to provide us with cheaper products that also help us to feel green and ecological and so on. I think this is one of the last examples, how recycling glass can be used in pretty different applications. Like there is an example from L'Oreal, one of the biggest brands in the world, which owns a lot of brands like Garnier or other, is using already, although we don't know, is using recycling glass for these containers. Why? Because they are beautiful or they are cheaper, mostly because they are cheaper, so they are using this even they are not communicating a lot. Another application that for recycling glass is this example of this company making all their tilings for the floors or ceiling or whatever from recycling material. Other companies are innovating along all the production process. It's not about new materials, that looking for new materials, but it's about also in your production process to see where you can save. There is this example from Procter & Gamble about the uppers, that in the production process they investigate and they could extract some air from the core of the tissue, what means that the final product is thinner, and so they need less raw material to produce it. The same with this example for Scott, that they have removed the central thin of the tissue. New brands are arising just from these sustainability products. There are some brands that are creating new green products, and also other companies that are arising from this business model. It's the case of this company, Seventh Generation. This is pretty known in USA. And they are making a full range of ecological products made from new materials, like biodegradable paper, recycling paper, compostable bags. So they are generating a business that wasn't there. And also brands that we all know, like Nike, they are also looking for new ways of extracting material and to getting new materials from waste and recycling and so on to make new products, saving a lot of resources. I have a video here. I don't know if I have internet connection. Do I have? Or no? Okay, so but I mean, it's a video where Nike explains how they are taking these old shoes and old shirt and old clothing and making new products. So we have seen now how all the companies are making, not all, but most of the companies are making new products with green characteristics and also making or moving into new business that wasn't their core business, but they have seen as an opportunity arising from sustainability. And now we are going to have a quick look to how a company can also save resources in its own production process, on its manufacturers or in its installation. And so if you are more efficient, your product will be as well. So you have to have a look to your suppliers. You have to have a look to your production process, to have your manufacturing process, and also think what are the companies going to do with, or sorry, the consumer going to do with your product. So the disposal or how the product is going to use and how the consumer is going to get rid of the product is important too. Again, a big company of the construction material companies, we see that they have in place a big sustainability strategy. They are reducing their CO2 emissions, they are saving energy, they are reducing a lot the need of material, and they are recycling and getting revenues from their waste. That means that not only the company as a corporate sustainability is getting greener, but also the products that are making from there are going to be more efficient. Another example from the insulation material company now, they have developed a lot of energy efficiency initiatives that are helping the companies to need less energy to make the same products. And also they talk about recycling and recycling targets within the companies. And this comes from one side because of regulation, and there comes another side because of money. If you produce less waste, you have to manage less waste, so you are going to save money. How cement companies are worried about water scarcity, and how they are starting to think ways about getting the best of the resources, to recycling the water, to reuse the water, and these savings will prevent them from having problems with the legislator, with having problems with the water constraints, and to be impossible to keep going into their activities because they don't have water, and also, of course, makes money if you are not using fresh water. By reusing the one you have, you are going to save a lot. How some mining companies, this is a specific example, because the mining companies are usually placed in remote places where to bring the energy that they need for their operation is really expensive. So as a way to reduce costs, they are moving into these microgeneration energy projects, like to have a hydroelectric power for your own operations, or to build a wind farm to provide you with your own energy that will secure your activity if it is impossible or it is not possible to, or it is expensive. Maybe everything is possible with money, but if it is expensive and is not going to be, or to yield as benefit as you would like, maybe to start thinking about another way of generating power is the solution for a profitable business here. Again, this comes from what I said before, that we are all worried about this. A lot of companies are not just looking into themselves for sustainability or environmental activities, but demanding them to their suppliers. So if you want to supply material, for example, to Ericsson, you need to have really defined environmental targets. You have to be careful about the waste, the energy management in your own offices. So it's not, as we said, it's not just that you are going to save resources. Is that the only way that you are going to be allowed to sell to these companies? So it's a way of secure your business. Also, the big groups are starting to take an holistic view about the sustainability issues, the supply chain, and also inside the group there is an example from Acciona. They have a big group compound of different companies. Each of them is managed in a different way, but all of them are following the same sustainability strategy of having at the end the same mission. So now, after looking at all of how the company can save money, all the different ways, but first in increasing the revenues, but making new products or new business. The second one, the point 4, is not increasing the revenues, but reducing the cost, and what do you need to produce the same. And then there are another examples of how sustainability can help companies, and they are difficult to measure. It's more difficult to understand the consumer behavior or the loyalty to a brand, but they are also important, as we have seen in the first part, in the part talking about sustainability commitment from the companies, that the companies care really about these soft benefits of sustainability, of implementing sustainability strategies. Some of the benefits that will be the relationship with all the stakeholders group, with the consumer, with the regulators, with the NGOs, with all the stakeholders of a company. Another important point is that having a sustainability target boosts the innovation and make you to have normally to invest more in research and developing and innovate more. The loyalty and the reputation of the brand will be for sure improved. The employees will be more happy to work in a company that is sustainable or environmentally or social responsible, and they will be more productive and will like to be working with you. And then there is an important thing that we have talked about, I have said an example before about this chemical compound that is going to be forbidden. This is risk mitigation. If you are already caring and concerning about environmental, you will not be surprised by legislation coming, but you will be aware and the risk and the problems of this possible forbidding of a product or whatever, you will be more prepared to tackle it. So a stakeholders relationship, we can go fast through here. You can improve your relationship with your suppliers. We have said before, companies are starting to ask their suppliers to have some environmental and sustainability targets. So if you comply that, you are going to have a better relation with your client and with your suppliers. The investors are looking into these things too. Imagine the example of BP. All the investors that have a lot of money put into BP after the spill of the Gulf of Mexico last summer, I think, the market or the value of the company went down. If you are an investor, you are going to, or you should have into account that you are at least trying to tackle and to be conscious of the accident and risk and environmental risk that you can have, and you are going to, and the investors are going to value this. As we have said, sustainability, if you follow sustainability, you're going to be an innovator. You are going to differentiate your product, not just with a label, but with a full new product with different characteristics. Your brand is going to be known as environmentally friendly or whatever, so you are going to have more loyalty from your consumers. talent management, as we said, more productivity. There are some surveys that even said that European employees are willing to be paid less if they work for a sustainable company, so you can even save money from that part. And then to mitigate of the risk coming from accident, legislation, and these things we have said. For example, Cemex, they have made a completely new business model thinking on this soft benefit of sustainability, how we can help communities. There were a lot of problems within Mexico. This example comes from Mexico, but this is in developing countries very wide and without the communication we have here to supply materials. So they made up a new system with less intermediaries and allow people that in another way they couldn't access to this material to have access. And what does mean? This means a turnover of $143 million in 2002, and a little bit more of 2004, and increasing. So they make a new business model thinking in how to collaborate with communities and how to be more respectful from the people you are working with. Another example is this one, the one from Mexico, I don't know, Cemex. Anyway, this one is a similar one. As a new way of providing materials, Holcim developed a new method of providing of suppliers to allow people to get access to this material. They have to make, they have to see the water management if they were polluting the lakes or whatever. The communities were very worried about this issue, so they involved them in working with them and seeing from firsthand what they were doing. This generates trust and loyalty from the communities you are working in, and so you will have less problems with the regulators, with the governments, strikes, and so on. Initiative about how to boost local procurement process. Sometimes these companies are in places where the local communities are not prepared enough to give them the materials or the workers they need. So to invest in training in the new centers to provide the communities you are working on with the media to help you will help you too in a long term. So to work with your suppliers in a short term, that will means less transportation cost, probably if you are in a developing country, less sources cost, and you will have a good relationship with your communities, and which means you won't have problems, as I said before, with government or legislator or whatever. So at the end, we just see that all the companies are linking their image to sustainability initiative. I have put 2 examples here from telecom companies, but we have seen before chemicals companies, cement, construction materials, consumer products, retailer. They are all starting to think sustainable and to communicate also to the consumer. As we can see in this example, it's not like companies are doing sustainable things or managing their companies in a better way, but they want to transmit this to their consumer. As we have seen at the beginning, there is an increasing concern about environmental issues from consumers, and the companies are working hard and want to show their achievements to us. So this is the end of the presentation. I hope you have, or you will have in mind what we have seen through the agenda and coming here. So why sustainability is important? Companies are already aware of this importance. They are profiting from sustainability strategies, from new products and new business. They are also saving costs in their production process and their manufacturing process. And also they are getting other kind of additional benefits from sustainability initiative that is not possible to measure or to put a number on, but is also important for companies, and they want us to know they are increasing their commitment to sustainability. So we are going to leave it here. If you have some questions or comments, it will be great now.
First, I really like your essay. Congratulations for that. And I only ask you something. Can really sustainability generate economical incentives for companies or is only a moral obligation that we need to do it? For example, in nuclear and plastic industry, companies invest a lot of money in the electrical generation of energy and novel bioplastic products like potato fiber bags, but not in the recycling of solid residues because this last doesn't generate benefits from them. So what is your opinion about that?
I haven't understood sorry, just the last part. I think you have put an example about bag plastics or something like that?
No. In a simple words, what is your opinion about these companies invest a lot of money in, for example, in generate energy in the nuclear industry, but don't invest some money in the treatment or in the recycling of the solid residues because this last can generate economical incentive for these companies. So at the end, sustainability is a needed or is really a economical need that we need to eat?
What I think and what I have to show you during the presentation is that companies, of course, look for their profits and they want to have more revenues, but they are clever enough to know that the revenues are coming from being sustainable. So I think that there are both things. The companies are looking for themselves and looking for getting revenues, but they know that is the only way to be sure that they are going to have a possibility to survive in the future, to invest in those kind of things. So I don't think we have to separate between being green because of the sake of being green, because we are not even us. We recycling if it is easy. If we don't have the container near home, we don't. It's just an overall, the companies are, or I think the companies are perfectly aware of the current situation of the megatrends we have explained at the beginning. And of course, they are not going to reduce the use of energy because of the sake of the green energy, but because for them it's going to be necessary. And if there's going to be less energy, the price will increase, so it will be more expensive for them. We have talked about this also before. We need to use natural resources. We need to use nature for our benefits. And it's not about not using nuclear energy, it's about trying to use it in the best way we can. So it's a mix of both things, I think. So.
You have said that there are some plastic that need more energy to recycling than some factories. So, as a member of the Asociación Nacional de Plásticos, are you considering incineration like a solution for this kind of plastic?
Yeah, for sure. From the Plastic Association, as also my personal point of view, thinking in the environment, we have to be flexible and we have to analyze the life cycle. And if a plastic at the end is concentrated oil, it comes from petrol, it has a full amount of energy inside. And if it is going to cost more to transport the plastic to one plant, to disposal, to separate, maybe for sure waste to energy, as we call it. It's not incineration anymore. It's one of the ways you can do it. We don't have place in landfills. Recycling is not always technical and economically feasible, as we have said. So waste to energy, if it is, of course, controlled and with environmental parameters and control pollution and filters and so on, is a perfect solution. There is an example, as we said, Holcim, or I think it was Holcim, is using waste from plastic to fuel their combustion process. So it's not we are losing this resource, but we are using it instead of oil. So of course, waste to energy or incineration is a good option. There are some plastic that are very easy to recycle, like PET or whatever, and we should try to go that way. But we have to always think in the broad vision and in the life cycle and decide what is the best thing to do with each one.
Okay, as I see it, this is a problem that is being improving, but only in big companies, because in small companies, I don't think that make them sustainable will give benefits to them. Instead of benefits, you will get like more. They will have to spend a lot of money on make the company sustainable, and the companies it doesn't want anything. How do you think that a small company can improve, like more sustainable, but without losing a lot of money?
Yeah, of course, for a big company, it's much easier to achieve the investment needed, for example, to change all the lights or to change the combustion process. But I also think that small companies can really save a lot of resources in a good way and not investing a lot of money. They are also aids, international aid and subsidies to help companies to improve, for example, the energy efficiency of the companies. They can have cheaper loans to increase their energy efficiency of the machinery. And also, at the end, it's of course, it's easy for the biggest, but it's a thing that they will have to do anyway. And there are some small companies that are already profiting. We all know now that all these organic products brands, and we all know this chocolate organic, or these companies that are really exploiting this new business model. Of course, for a big company, it's easier, but they are also more prosecute. But the small companies, I think they have a lot of room for improvement, from most for like efficiency in their own production, lights and waste and water. And it's not only a thing of big companies, I think.
Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you.